On the 24th of November 1968, an American fighter jet fired one missile into this cave, killing 374 civilians that were hiding. They were just trying to get away from the bombs. And we're gonna go in and we're gonna experience this. This is gonna be a really humbling experience. This is the most important video I've ever made on this channel. So between 1963 and 1974, the USA carried out a secret war in Laos, in this country that I am traveling in now. Most of the American government and none of the people even knew that this war was happening, that the Americans were funding this war. They were fighting the communists. They were trying to stop the North Vietnamese carrying their munitions and their men through the Laos jungle, the Ho Chi Minh Trail, from the north of Vietnam to the south of Vietnam. So America basically carpet bombed this whole area in order to try and disrupt the communists. To be honest with you, it didn't really seem like the Americans really cared who or where they bombed. They just wanted to bomb the communists. This is the most bombed place on earth, thanks to the Americans. Now, what the communists did is they used the networks of caves in order to shelter from the bombs. But not only did the communists, the soldiers, have to do this, but all the civilians, the local civilians, had to do this. The men, women and children that were not fighting, they had to do this because of the sheer amount of American bombs that were dropped in this area. It's honestly insane. So many of the locals, they couldn't even work their farmland during the daytime because the American cluster bombs, the carpet bombs, would destroy them if they saw them because they thought maybe they're communists. So many people lived in caves much like this just so that they didn't get bombed and get caught up in a war that they didn't want to be in. I'm gonna pay our respects and I'm gonna try and share the story of these people, these people that lost their lives here, the 374 men, women and children, the civilians that lost their lives here. They were not soldiers, they were civilians. Much of the cave collapsed. So many of the people that were towards the front of the cave, they were completely incinerated, ripped apart, destroyed. And this is where that would have happened. Now, the people that didn't die instantly, unfortunately, they were buried under all this rubble and soil. Many of them obviously buried alive, some of them crushed, some of them suffocating. You can see the blackened cave walls here. I know the lighting's not great, but this cave went in for the length of the cave was about a mile, apparently. It's now no longer that long because much of it has collapsed. You can see here that this is not the original cave floor. This has all been collapsed and there's soil here as well now. So effectively, what happened, people sheltering in this cave as they heard an American fighter jet coming into the cave or floating over those rice fields, going really loud. They could hear it coming. It shot 3 missiles, shaking the cave but missing it. And then from the 4th missile, like I said, was a direct hit. And particularly here, you can see how blackened the cave wall actually is. This is from an explosion. This is from a US missile. It's very black. I believe the explosion happened somewhere around here. But because it's a cave and it's an enclosed area, the concussive force would have been immense. When something explodes inside a pressurized environment, the explosion is far more powerful. Let's go deeper. We've got the cave wall here, and you can just see all this rubble here. And you can just tell that this has been dug out. Further on in the cave, because the cave collapsed, it trapped many people. So many people in this cave did not die instantaneously. Like you can see all this rubble. There's the original cave wall, and you can see all this rubble. You can see timber as well, collapsed timber. But many people suffocated underneath the soil, and many people were actually trapped in this cave. They were trapped behind, and they died a very slow and agonizing death. Children's bodies were found clinging to their parents, obviously dead. So they died in each other's arms. It must have been so scary. You can see an old tin can here, probably from that time, that era. And in fact, you can even see bits of clothes. Oh my God. That is a burnt piece of clothing right there. That is so poignant. Wow. So you can see just how big these chunks of rock are. They're absolutely huge. Huge. And these would have just crushed the people. And you see the blackened rock. And look at all this. These little white marks that you see, this is effectively shrapnel from the rock. So the rock obviously exploded, and then you've got loads of little tiny rock bullets that hit the cave wall. You can see where people have been dug out. That's highly likely a little area where someone was dug out. You can kind of tell. Hundreds of people had to be dug out of the rubble. Whole entire families were completely destroyed, completely annihilated. Whole bloodlines gone. So you can see here, I'm actually standing on a rock that must be, or a piece of the ceiling that must be at least 15 tons. It's huge. Here's a smaller one. Maybe it's about 2 tons, something like this. You can see how it's all just completely smashed in. This would have been a really smooth floor, like much of the caves that I've explored so far. Obviously, the cave is a great bomb shelter. It's a very good bomb shelter, unless the bomb is in the cave. Wow, this is very eerie. You can just tell that bits have been dug out where they found their bodies. I'm not trying to be dramatic in any way. In fact, I'm being less dramatic out of respect as to what happened here. But I don't know how to explain to you. I don't know what to tell you. All I can tell you is that this is a very humbling experience. And if you're still here in the video, I really appreciate it. Because to me, this is really important. Look, you can see here, that's the original floor. And all of this, huge rocks. In fact, massive pieces of stone have all come down. There's no way that you could have even survived this. People would have been pinned down. Imagine your arm pinned under that. All these bits of stone, these huge big bits of stone. Some have been moved so that you can actually get through now. But they couldn't do it in time. There was many people that survived the initial blast. And they were back here. Most of the people that were in the cave were back here. But they couldn't get out. They couldn't move these These huge boulders, these huge pieces of ceiling. It's eerie. So people would have been all trapped in here, completely trapped, crushed to death. And if they weren't crushed to death, they would have starved to death, run out of oxygen, run out of food. Oh, you can see some cloth back there. You can tell that this is another little area that was probably dug out to retrieve bodies. Yeah, looks like someone's dug this rubble out in order to retrieve a body. There's lots of old shoes here. Some of them look more modern. I don't know if they were here from the time that this massacre happened, or whether they've been left in here. I'm going to go deeper in, and I'm going to leave an offering, basically. I've brought a whole bunch of things to offer to the spirits of the cave. Many people ask me, how can I visit these abandoned places, these scary places, these places that people believe that there are trapped souls or spirits? And it's because I personally feel that I respect them. As I'm walking through this cave, I'm trying to think about those people that lost their lives. I'm blessing their souls, and I'm going to get up to the end of the cave, and I'm going to light some candles and some incense, and I'm going to say a prayer. I'm not Christian, I'm not Buddhist, I'm not Muslim, I'm not Jewish, but I do believe in spirits and prayers. I don't think you should be scared of spirits. I imagine if I was a spirit in this cave and mortals were scared of me, I would feel very lonely. So I've come to spend some time with the spirits of this cave. It's immensely quiet. It's actually really, it's really sad. It goes without saying. I don't have words to describe the feeling that I'm feeling right now. After spending so much time in Laos, in this beautiful country, amongst these beautiful people, and learning about all the atrocities they went through, all the hardship they went through. Yeah, it's really shocking to still be like maybe 300-400 meters into the cave, and there's still huge boulders, pieces of the roof that have fallen off. Shows you how strong this missile is. And look here, this is definitely, I can't say definitely, I take that back. This is very likely where somebody was recovered. Maybe even a family, maybe a mother and the child clinging to each other. Sadly, they would not have been recovered alive. This definitely looks like a place that has been cleared. Oh wow. You can tell that this has been dug out, and I don't know why anybody would have dug through this rubble for any other reason than to retrieve their loved ones. This is extremely humbling. I don't even know what to say. Oh, it's very hot in this little chamber. This little chamber is making me sweat. I can almost feel the spirits. Look at all this rubble. Can you just imagine what it would be like to be trapped in this cave in darkness with people moaning and screaming and dying, babies and children screaming for their mother, their father, mothers and fathers screaming for their children. And it would have been absolutely pitch black. Let me turn off my torch. And of course now it's very quiet. But like I said, it wouldn't have been quiet back then. I'm trying to get to as far back as I can to the back of the cave. Now the cave used to be a mile long. I don't know how long it is now. But I mean, I've gone quite far already. And the reason why I'm going to the back of the cave is because I've got many offerings. I don't believe many people come back here to give offerings. Because it's a scary place. I'm not going to lie, for most people anyway. I don't feel scared at all in any way in this place. I've come here to respect the spirits. And if you respect the spirits will look after you. Oh, the bats are flying around me. I'm at the end of the cave. There's loads of bats flying around my head. Don't know if you can see them. Literally flying within like a metre of my head. Whoa! It's really strange. The caves are usually really, really cold. This cave is so hot. I don't know if you can see the sweat. I've not been going fast at all. I've been going really slow and carefully. But I am sweating so much. I'm sweating as if I was out in the heat. Okay, I found my area that I'm going to give my offering to. This is the very end of the cave.